You've probably heard the saying that the best things in life are free. Well, that can apply to cruises as well, because some of the best things on cruises are free, or at least included in your cruise fare. Sometimes you just have to know that you have to ask. For example, I used to go through the hassle of bringing on my own distilled water for CPAP until I found out that this is something that the cruise line will provide as long as you have a medical need. Ice bucket, no problem. Extra pillows, blankets, no problem. You simply have to ask. Hi, I'm Rocky, and I love to cruise every chance I get to bring you the information that you need to help make your next cruise your best cruise. In this video, I'm going to share what I've learned about what's included in your cruise fare and what's not. If this sounds like something you're interested in, please hit the like button and share the video with your favorite cruising buddies. And please consider subscribing to the channel so that it can grow and provide the content you want. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so let's start with the basics about what's going to be included in your cruise fare, and that's going to be your taxes and your port fees. Now, the total amount of your taxes and port fees are going to vary depending on the length of your cruise and the ports of call that you're going to visit, because each port will have a different port fee assessed to it. So those things you'll have to take into consideration, but they are automatically included in your cruise fare. So it's not something that you will have to incur an additional expense for once you are on board. What's not included usually are your excursions. With the exception of a few of the higher end cruise lines that do sometimes offer excursions or a certain amount of excursions with their cruise fare, or sometimes Princess Cruise Lines will give you an onboard credit to be used specifically for excursions, but it's usually not an amount that'll cover a whole excursion, but sometimes it is. But with those few exceptions, the cost of your excursion is not going to be included in your cruise fare. So what you'll do when you book your cruise, you'll get a link to explore the different excursions that are offered on your different ports of call. They'll have the prices listed, and you can decide then if you want to get your excursion through the cruise line. But having said all of that, you will just book your excursions after you book your cruise, and it will usually be an additional charge. Let's talk about gratuities, because this is something that surprises a lot of first-time cruisers. On most cruise lines, gratuities aren't included in your cruise fare. Instead, a daily gratuity is automatically added to your onboard account. Depending on the cruise line, this amount can vary, but it usually ranges between $15 and $20 per person per day. These gratuities help pay the crew members who work hard behind the scenes and those who take care of you throughout your cruise, like your cabin steward and the dining staff. You can usually prepay your gratuities before your cruise or simply pay them at the end. I a lot of times like to prepay because I don't like having additional charges at the end of the cruise. I like to be zeroed out when I'm walking off of the ship. No surprises on the last day. That's kind of depressing. And if someone really gives exceptional service, you can always tip additional. So I like to bring some cash with me just in case I want to, give my bartender an extra tip, or my cabin steward. A lot of times they go above and beyond, and I like to be able to show them my appreciation with an additional tip, but that is optional. Knowing how the gratuities work before you sail will help you avoid surprises when you receive that final bill. So let's talk about drinks. Now, on your cruise, you're not going to die of thirst because there are some drinks that are included. I know a lot of people, contemplate about getting the beverage package or not, and that's really a personal decision based on how much and how you drink, what type of drinker you are. Are you a soda drinker, or are you an alcoholic beverage drinker? But as far as what is included, you will get your tap water, iced tea, lemonade, coffee. Those are basically the things that are going to be included. Now, what's not included is going to be of course, your alcoholic beverages, your specialty coffees and teas, and your bottled water. So those things will cost you extra on the cruise unless you do prepay for a drink package. And different drink packages will include different drinks depending on what your preference is. Some of them, you can get a sodas only drink package, or you can get one that covers everything. So that's up to you. Okay, so let's talk about food. So as far as the food that's going to be included on your cruise, your main dining room, that's your go-to place for really nice sit-down meals that are included. What a lot of people don't know is that you can also go to your main dining room for breakfast and lunch most of the time. But, everybody thinks about it just for dinner. But no, you can also go there other times during the day, and you can check with your specific cruise line. They'll let you know which main dining rooms are open for breakfast and or lunch. Having said that, yes, take advantage of your main dining room. You're going to get gourmet quality meals, and that is included in your cruise fare. Also, what's included in your cruise fare is the buffet. Some people have mixed feelings about a buffet, and it really just depends on the cruise line and your particular taste. I try to lean more towards the main dining room for my meals than the buffet, but hey, I've also eaten at the buffet, and depending on what they're serving, I enjoy it very much. But regardless, at the buffet, you're going to get a wide variety of different types of food, everything from your appetizers to salads, to your main courses to desserts. You've got it covered at the buffet, and it's included in your cruise fare. And another thing, also, most cruise lines offer the soft serve ice cream cones for free. So they're usually tucked away back by the buffet area, or else maybe out by the pool area. But if you like to get your soft swirled ice cream, don't forget that is also included in your cruise fare. Now, a lot of cruises also have I call them fast dining options, and they're usually out by the pool. You might have a burger place like on Carnival. There's Guy's Burgers, and they have the Blue Iguana Cantina that's totally included in your cruise fare. Other places like Princess has the Salty Dog. Different cruise lines have different places, but these are going to be your super casual, like fast food type of meals where you can go and get a burger, fries, hot dog, things like that, and they're going to also be included in your cruise fare. Now, what's not going to be included food-wise is going to be your specialty dining. Now, these are going to be places like your steak houses, or your specialty seafood restaurants, or your specialty Italian food restaurants. These things are going to have an extra charge applied to them. It's usually referred to as an upcharge. So where it's probably going to be a little bit less than if you were to go to a restaurant, say, and get the same meal there. What they do on the cruise is they just give you, they just let you pay an upcharge. So it might be maybe 50, 60 or so dollars per person, but you're getting a highly elevated meal, a really good cut of steak, really nice seafood, and you're getting, an elevated dining experience. So for a lot of people, it's worth it to pay the extra money for your high level specialty dining. And another thing that you might not realize with regards to room service kind of straddles both, because a lot of cruise lines will offer room service for free if it's the continental breakfast. So you can order your coffee, a few pastries, and it's going to be a very limited menu, and you can get that usually for free. However, if you want like the full service room service, that usually incurs a charge. So you can, some cruise lines will have you pay like I think a $14.95 one-time fee, and then you can order. Or other places, other cruise lines will have you just actually pay for these items. It'll be really reduced. Like say for example, a hamburger might cost $4. So it's not as much as maybe you pay somewhere else, but it does incur a charge, and you will also have to pay the gratuity on top of that as well. So you're packing and you don't want to crowd your suitcase with a lot of things you don't need. And one thing that takes a lot of space in your suitcase that you do not need to worry about packing is a beach towel. So your cruise line is going to provide you with all the beach towels you need. So usually they'll have a couple in your room waiting for you when you get there. And if you need more, no problem. Just ask. The only caveat is do not take them home with you because they will charge you for them. Do not leave them out on your excursion. You're welcome to take them out on your excursion. You're welcome to take them out to the pool on the ship or to the beach when you're at a port of call. Just be sure that you do return them so that you don't incur a charge for that. Now, what's not included are your beach essentials. So with the exception of some excursions where maybe snorkeling equipment is included, but then again, you were paying for the excursion, usually you will have to supply yourself with your own beach supplies. Whatever it is that you take to the beach to make yourself comfortable, you're going to want to be sure that you have that because a lot of these things, if you try to buy them on the ship, are going to be really expensive. I mean, even a bathing suit. One time my husband and I were on a cruise and he forgot his swimming trunks and we ended up spending, I think, almost $50 for a pair of swimming trunks because we really wanted them and, you know, beggars can't be choosers. So we had to go ahead and pay that. So keep in mind, those sort of things are not going to be included. But as far as your beach towel, don't even worry about packing that bulky item because your cruise line is going to have you covered. So another thing that's going to be included in your cruise fare is your onboard entertainment. And these are going to be musical and variety shows. A lot of times these are Broadway caliber shows. Some shows that are actually on Broadway and that will be performed for you on your cruise, all included in your cruise fare. And there are other things also entertainment-wise around the ship that you can be entertained with during your cruise that is no extra charge. And so some of those things are going to be like your trivia games where you can win prizes. It's, you know, completely free to play. You're going to have things like your shuffleboard, their dance games, their group dances, group exercises, things like that are going to be included. What's not going to be included are going to be your specialty rides. Like some of these mega ships have these really fancy roller coasters. A lot of times those will cost you extra, or if you have like bumper cars or the wave riding thing, sometimes those things might cost a little bit extra. Usually it's not very much, but sometimes there are. So your specialty rides are a little bit different, but you're going to have plenty of things that are free there, right? The musical shows and the comedy shows, your comedy shows at night, those are really fun and totally included in your cruise fare. Okay, so another thing that you might be presented with when you book your cruise is whether you want to get a Wi-Fi package or not. Now, what's going to be included in your cruise fare a lot of the times on most cruise lines is going to be a messaging app. So what you'll do is you'll download the app for the cruise line, and once you're on board within that app, there'll be a messaging feature. So you'll be able to use that feature to message other people while on board the ship. So if someone else is also on board the ship and signed into that app, you can actually use that just like you would, you know, any other text message between people that are on the ship. So that's really cool because I remember, old school back in the day, my family, we used to have the walkie-talkies and we would get on the ship and use the walkie-talkie so we wouldn't have to worry about having the Wi-Fi. But now it's that you don't have to worry about the walkie-talkie because the app will do the same thing if you want to do that for free. Now, having said that, that's not going to allow you to text off the ship or to browse the internet or anything like that. So if you do want Wi-Fi, that's going to be an additional expense. So you'll have to decide, you know, is this going to be the type of vacation where I'm just going to unplug and, you know, just let my emails pile up until I get back? I would stress out. So I'm that person. I have to get at least the basic Wi-Fi. But that's just for me. everyone really needs to just judge it, because I do know plenty of people who can, take a 5 to 7 day cruise and not have to worry about getting the Wi-Fi. So if that's you, save the money, because the Wi-Fi packages can get pretty expensive. So the last thing I want to mention that's going to be included in your cruise fare is going to be the fitness center. So even though most things in the spa are going to be extra, the fitness center is usually included in your cruise fare. And so, I mean, some of these fitness centers are really, really nice. So you will be able to get on your elliptical, on your treadmill, and lift your free weights and all of those sorts of things, totally included in your cruise fare. Now, what's not going to be included is if you want to do a specialty class. A lot of times on some cruise lines, especially your higher end ones, they might include some exercise classes. But for the most part, most of them have really streamed down. Even Princess used to, if you had their plus package, they would give you 2 exercise classes included in your plus package. But now they've stopped that. So you will have to pay for your specialty classes. Say if you want to do like a Pilates class or something like that, that's going to probably incur you an additional charge. But you can do your exercising on your own, on the treadmills, ellipticals, and things like that, totally included in your cruise fare. So that's a quick rundown of what's included versus what's not included in your cruise fare. So having said that, what you really want to remember is that if there's something that you really need once you're on board, don't be afraid to ask for it, because a lot of things your room steward will be able to get you to make your cruising more comfortable. Like I mentioned earlier, if you need extra pillows and blankets or even extra hangers in your room, they'll be happy to get that for you. If you need the robe, the slippers, just ask. Be nice and kind. It goes a long way, because your room steward, they really do want you to be comfortable, and they want to make your cruise the best that it can be. So, like the saying says, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. I had a really good friend who would tell me that all the time. Hey, that is some good advice. So it doesn't hurt to ask. And a lot of things that you might think are unavailable, you will be able to get on your cruise. So hopefully these tips helped. If you found this helpful in any way, please don't forget, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.